The most famous line in Casablanca was never actually said. The movie everyone thought was garbage became the greatest love story ever filmed, and the Nazis playing Nazis were actually Jewish refugees. This is the insane true story. Welcome to Casablanca, 25 behind-the-scenes secrets that will blow your mind. And stay until the end, the last 2 bonus facts are unbelievable.
The cannon fire. Is it my heart?
Rick never says, "Play it again, Sam." Not once. What he actually says is, "You played it for her. You can play it for me. If she can stand it, I can. Play it." This is the most misquoted line in film history. In the 1980s, the actual script was sent anonymously to major Hollywood studios. Most readers rejected it, calling it too dated, too much dialogue, and not enough sex. They didn't even recognize the greatest screenplay ever written.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. What's that you're playing?
Oh, just a little something of my own.
Oh, stop it. You know what I want to hear.
Here's something that'll destroy you. Many of the actors playing Nazi soldiers were European Jews who had escaped Nazi persecution. During the iconic scene where La Marseillaise drowns out the German anthem, many extras weren't acting. They had real tears streaming down their faces. These were actual refugees from Hitler's occupation, and for 3 minutes on a Hollywood soundstage, they got to defy their oppressors. Some had lost their entire families. This wasn't a movie scene. This was therapy. During filming, Bogart told Orson Welles, "I'm in the worst picture I've ever been in." His wife constantly accused him of cheating with Ingrid Bergman, confronting him before scenes. He'd storm onto set furious. Despite their legendary chemistry, Bogart and Bergman barely spoke off camera. They had one lunch together, and according to witness Geraldine Fitzgerald, the whole conversation was about how they could escape this movie. They thought the dialogue was ridiculous and the situations were unbelievable. They were filming what would become the number 3 greatest American movie of all time, and everyone involved wanted out.
Well, I'm sure that we talked about it, but he usually didn't talk to anyone except the producer and the director, and then he was always bawling them out for something. He was angry all the time. He didn't talk much to me.
Really?
No, I couldn't. What could I do to help him?
Nobody, not the director, not the writers, not the actors, knew how this film would end until the final day of shooting. When Ingrid Bergman asked director Michael Curtis whether Issa truly loved Rick or Victor, he told her to play it in between because he genuinely didn't know. The writers kept debating, should Rick leave with Issa? But 1940s censors would never allow a married woman to abandon her husband, so they kept filming, with no ending. Bergman played an entire romance without knowing who she was supposed to love.
And it's remarkable because when we did it, we had no faith in it at all because the script was so bad. And it was written day by day. There was nothing clear about it. And we didn't know where we were going. And I didn't know which man I was supposed to really love. So they say, can't you do the love scenes just a little in between? Don't put too much seriousness in it because we really don't know with which man you're going to end up. And I said, but how am I going to do that? And they said, well, play it cool.
It gets crazier. The Epstein twins finished their screenplay 3 days before cameras rolled. Howard Koch finished his portion 2 weeks after filming had begun. They were writing scenes the night before shooting them. Actors would show up with no idea what they'd be saying. At one point, Bogart was called to set just to stand in the middle of Rick's cafe and nod. He had absolutely no idea what the nod meant. It was his approval for the band to play La Marseillaise, but nobody told him that. He just nodded on command. The German soldiers were originally supposed to sing Das Horst-Wessel-Lied, the actual Nazi party anthem. Then someone at Warner Brothers realized that song is under copyright. Since Casablanca would be released in neutral countries like Switzerland, they couldn't theoretically be sued for copyright infringement by Hitler's government. Warner Brothers could have been forced to pay royalties to the Nazis. They changed it to Wacht am Rhein to avoid the most insane lawsuit in history, a Jewish-run studio playing the Third Reich for the right to make them look evil. Dooley Wilson, who played Sam, was a professional drummer who completely faked playing piano. The actual pianist, John Vincent Plummer, was hidden behind a curtain playing live while Wilson copied his hand movements. The kicker? Wilson was the only person in the entire cast and crew who actually visited the real city of Casablanca. Everyone else was making a movie about a place they'd never seen. But the one guy who'd been there was faking his entire musical performance. That iconic final airport scene with the plane? Completely fake. It was a small cardboard cutout. To make it look full-sized, they hired little people dressed as ground crew in tiny uniforms and used fog machines to hide how unconvincing it looked. The same trick was later used by Ridley Scott in Alien. His son and friends wore miniature spacesuits to make the space jockey look massive. One of cinema's most romantic endings was filmed with platform shoes, a miniature plane, and strategic fog.
It's only to make me go.
I'm saying it because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with...
Bergman was 1 to 2 inches taller than Bogart, which was unacceptable in 1940s Hollywood. Throughout filming, Bogart stood on boxes and sat on pillows while Bergman slouched. In the Frank for Your Thoughts scene, on the couch, she's practically folded in half. If you watch the film closely, their height difference changes from scene to scene depending on which trick they're using. The whole romance is built on strategic platform placement. Konrad Veidt, who played Major Strasser, was forced to flee Germany when the SS sent an actual death squad after him. His wife Lily was Jewish, and Veidt was famous throughout Germany for hating Nazis and protecting Jews. During World War II, he only accepted roles playing Nazi villains because he believed making them look evil on screen would help the Allies win the war. His on-screen enemy, Paul Heinried, was also a real-life refugee who fled Nazi occupation. Veidt even testified to protect Heinried from deportation. 2 anti-fascist refugees, one playing a Nazi, one playing a resistance fighter.
I don't think we want to buy the ring, but thank you for showing it to us.
Such a bargain. But that is your decision?
I'm sorry.
When you see Rick studying a chessboard in the opening, that's an actual game Bogart was playing by mail with a friend in New York. During the Depression in the 1930s, Bogart hustled chess games on the streets for 25 cents each. Between takes on movie sets, he'd continue hustling cast and crew. Years later, someone found the original photo, still with Bogart's letter describing the specific chess move from that scene. That's not acting. That's Bogart literally continuing his correspondence game during filming. Bogart improvised this line during the Paris flashback scenes, and it worked so well, they kept using it. The American Film Institute ranked it the number 5 greatest movie quote of all time. But here's the secret. Bogart had already used the exact same line in an obscure 1934 film called Midnight. He was literally recycling his own forgotten material, and it became immortal. Casablanca has 6 quotes in AFI's Top 100 list, more than any other film in history. The movie everyone wanted to escape became the most quotable film ever made.
Stefano. He's looking at you, kid.
When Casablanca won Best Picture, studio head Jack Warner sprinted to the stage ahead of the film's actual producer, Hal Wallis, and accepted the Oscar himself. Wallace stood there humiliated in front of the entire industry. He was so furious he never forgave Warner and quit Warner Brothers shortly after. This single moment of ego was so egregious that the Academy changed the rules forever. Now only producers can accept Best Picture awards, not studio executives. Jack Warner's narcissism literally rewrote Oscar history. Max Steiner, hated as time goes by because he didn't write it, meaning he'd earn no royalties. He lobbied hard to have it removed and replaced with his own composition, but there was a problem. Ingrid Bergman had already cut her hair very short for Whom the Bell Tolls and was shooting on location. They couldn't reshoot the scenes without her. The song stayed. It became number 2 on AFI's Greatest Movie Songs list and dominated radio for 21 weeks. Steiner's greed accidentally preserved one of cinema's most beloved songs.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Of every credited actor in this film, only 3 were born in the United States: Humphrey Bogart, Dooley Wilson, and Joy Page, the studio head's stepdaughter in her film debut. Everyone else came from somewhere else. The cast and crew represented 34 different countries. Of the 93 uncredited extras, 71% were foreign-born. You're not watching actors pretending to be refugees, you're watching actual refugees who lived this story. Marcel Dalio and Madeleine LeBeau, who played minor roles, were husband and wife who had just escaped Nazi-occupied France. This wasn't just authentic, this was real. The day after Pearl Harbor, December 8, 1941, a Warner Brothers story analyst began evaluating Everybody Comes to Rick's. Perfect timing. Then in November 1942, the Allies invaded the actual city of Casablanca. Then in January 1943, Churchill and Roosevelt held their famous Casablanca Conference. The movie got free publicity from literal history unfolding. And here's the best part. German intelligence discovered the conference in advance, but dismissed it as insignificant, thinking Casablanca was probably code for a White House meeting. The Nazis were fooled by a movie title. Why can't Rick return to America? What did he do? The writer spent weeks trying to figure it out. Julius Epstein later admitted, "My brother and I tried very hard to come up with a reason why Rick couldn't return to America, but nothing seemed right. We finally decided not to give him a reason at all." That ambiguity, the mystery of Rick's past, became one of the character's most compelling elements. Sometimes what you don't explain is more powerful than what you do. The audience fills in the blanks with something better than any writer could create.
I'd like to be on it.
Why? What's in Lisbon?
Clipper to America. I've often speculated on why you don't return to America. Did you abscond with the church funds? Did you run off with the senator's wife? I like to think that you killed a man. It's the romantic in me.
It's a combination of all 3.
And what in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
Lewis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Ranked the number 20 greatest movie quote of all time, wasn't in any version of the script. Producer Hal Wallace thought of it after filming had completely wrapped. Humphrey Bogart had to return to the studio and record it in ADR, dubbing it over footage that had already been shot and edited. One of cinema's most perfect endings, the line that perfectly completes the arc, was literally an afterthought added in post-production. Sometimes magic happens by accident.
Our expenses. Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
When Captain Renault drops the bottle of Vichy water in the trash at the film's climax, he's symbolically rejecting the German-controlled Vichy government of France. In 1942, audiences caught this immediately. It was a bold political statement. Today, most viewers think he's just littering or being dramatic. But that single gesture communicated to French audiences worldwide that even collaborators could find redemption. Even those who had worked with the enemy could choose the right side. It was a message of hope, disguised as a throwaway moment. The letters of transit that drive the entire plot, the MacGuffin everyone's chasing, didn't exist in Vichy France. They didn't even exist anywhere. Pure invention. Screenwriter Joanne Allison always expected someone to challenge her on this, but nobody ever did. Not historians, not French officials, not audiences. It's like the Maltese Falcon in Bogart's other classic, a priceless artifact that couldn't possibly exist, but everyone just accepts. Sometimes the best plot devices are the ones you completely fabricate. Reality doesn't matter if the emotion is real.
Look, Rick. Know what this is? Something that even you have never seen. Letters of transit signed by General Wegon cannot be rescinded, not even questioned. One moment. Tonight I'll be selling those for more money than even I have ever dreamed of, and then Casablanca.
Casablanca didn't play in Germany until 1952, 9 years after its release. When it finally did, it was almost half an hour shorter, with every reference to Nazis removed. Through creative dubbing, they transformed Victor Laszlo from a resistance fighter into a Norwegian atomic physicist on the run from Interpol for discovering mysterious delta rays. The entire La Marseillaise scene was the emotional core of the film, was completely deleted. Germans didn't see the real version until 1975, 3 decades later. Imagine being so threatened by a movie that you have to rewrite reality itself. The film went significantly over budget, costing $950,000, big money in 1942. Warner Brothers was so worried they took out a $100,000 life insurance policy on Humphrey Bogart in case he died during production. Meanwhile, Conrad Veidt, the Nazi villain, was paid more than Bogart, $25,000 for just 5 weeks of work while on loan from MGM. The bad guy literally made more money than the hero. Veidt was the highest paid person on set, and he donated most of it to helping refugees escape Europe. Rick's Cafe was one of the only original sets constructed for Casablanca. Everything else was recycled from other Warner Brothers productions because of wartime restrictions on building materials. The Paris train station came from Now Voyager. The street scenes were redressed from The Desert Song. The airport hangar had been used in a Laurel and Hardy film. They created an Oscar-winning iconic film out of literal scraps and leftovers. Rick's Cafe, the most famous location in the movie, was the only thing they actually bothered to build from scratch. In the mid-2000s, Madonna wanted to remake Casablanca with herself as Issa and Ashton Kutcher as Rick. She personally pitched every major Hollywood studio. Every single one rejected her. One studio executive told her bluntly, the film is deemed untouchable. Before Madonna, Francois Truffaut was offered the chance to direct a remake in 1973 and refused, saying he couldn't imagine anyone replacing Bogart and Bergman. Some films achieve a level of perfection where even Hollywood, an industry built on remakes, knows better than not to touch them. Unlike virtually every other movie ever made, Casablanca was filmed in sequence from beginning to end. This meant that on the final day of shooting, the cast still didn't know how it would end until they received the script pages that morning. Every emotional beat built naturally because the actors were experiencing the story in real time, just like the characters. When Ingrid Bergman says goodbye to Rick at the airport, she's genuinely saying goodbye for the first time, not having filmed it 3 weeks earlier and then shooting earlier scenes. That's why the final moments feel so raw, so real, so devastating. Oscar-winning screenwriters Julius and Philip Epstein became the first twin brothers to win an Academy Award. But here's a connection that seems impossible. They're the grandfather and great-uncle of Theo Epstein, the baseball executive who broke both the Boston Red Sox's 86-year curse of the Bambino in 2004 and the Chicago Cubs' 108-year curse of the Billy Goat in 2016. The family that wrote cinema's greatest love story later broke sports' 2 greatest heartbreaks. Apparently, overcoming impossible odds runs in the family. In December 2012, Sam's piano, that mustard yellow piano with Islamic scrollwork, sold at a Sotheby's auction for more than $600,000. The piano had a special hinged top that opened into 2 directions, so Rick could hide the letter of transit inside after Ugart's arrest. That fake piano, played by a man who couldn't play piano, in a movie filmed with a cardboard airplane where everyone thought they were making garbage, is now worth more than most people's homes. It's one of cinema's most valuable artifacts from a film nobody wanted to make. So there's the impossible truth. A film with no ending, written during filming, with actors who hated it, a pianist who couldn't play, A Plane Made of Cardboard, and Refugees Playing Their Own Oppressors became the number 3 greatest American film ever made. Sometimes perfection happens when everything goes catastrophically wrong. If this blew your mind, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me which classic film you want to hear from next. Keep watching, keep feeling, and never stop chasing the magic of cinema. I'll catch you in the next one.
I blow with the wind, and the prevailing wind happens to be from Vichy.
And if it should change?
Well, surely the right doesn't admit that possibility.